Okay, I genuinely have come to the realization and sort of the fact that, well, I may just be right. So, I'm talking about, pretty much the Railfan situation with, how this community has quote unquote been going downhill and quote unquote the Railfan community is cooked or whatever. But if you really look at the grand scheme of things, it is in fact going downhill. Now, if you compare to maybe like the 2010s or something like that, stuff like this you rarely see. It was like a once in a blue moon type of thing, or maybe like, I don't know, like super rare. So I'm talking about, drama and all this stuff, all these like clout chasing type of stuff, and pretty much just pure idiocracy or whatever. In the 2010s, you didn't really see stuff like that, and now it's just like a common theme within between the beginning of this year and now. I've pretty much had seven or six, I think it was six videos talking about some form of the community. And 2024, I've never done this, but now in 2025, it seems like this is a regular thing for me, where now I'm talking about the problems of this community, because now they're really, really starting to show, and I'm not joking. On other platforms too, you have Instagram. I know you have this platform. I'm not really sure about any other platform. I'm mainly on Instagram and YouTube, but yeah, it just shows that this isn't just a like one thing on one platform. It's everywhere. Like, this is very much like it's continuing to get worse. Now, the six or seven videos, I don't know the exact number that I made. One that really started this entire thing was the AJ Railfan video, and in fact, I feel like the most, the first major, event sort of that showed this downtrend or this trend of the Railfan community getting worse was the fact that AJ Railfan suddenly disappeared. Yeah, the first video I made on pretty much, the Railfan community was the AJ Railfan video. And it really brought to light and it really started to show that, this community has fallen from what it used to be. And the 2010s, which was a decade ago or something, is very generous because even the 2010s were not so great. Like, if you were to go to the 1990s, 1980s, it was much better back then. People were actually doing respectable things in this community. In fact, it, it didn't contain. Well, I don't know because I wasn't born in like the 1980s or 1990s, but I'm gonna go off based off what I've seen is that this community was very well respected. This community had people who actually cared about this community and didn't do dumb things. But whereas now, with I'm gonna guess or assume with the internet, nowadays people are pretty much doing whatever they can to get views, to get, noticed or whatever, stuff like that. And I've noticed, and I'm pretty sure this is very, very common, that bad things get more attention than good things. So, what people are doing is they're essentially doing anything bad because, again, bad things get more views to get views. And, it seems like they kind of don't care about the repercussions because obviously you're doing something bad, there's bound to be consequences. And again, they just don't care. Anyways, when I, started saying that the Railfan community was cooked, a lot of people did say, they agree with the points, but a lot of people were saying, nah, no, it's not cooked, and, started to revolt against me for it. But let's give in another example, and I know this example is going to be a very, something to some people. The Union Station server, that server that was created in late 2024 that didn't even last like a month or something, that server is probably one of the major events of that year, I guess, that trickled into 2025, that pretty much exposed how bad this community is. Because if we can't come together, and because this server was made with a bunch of different fan base of other different railfan content creators like myself and others, if we can't have our own fan bases come together, and of course they're mostly railfans, so think of it, if we can't have different railfans from different viewpoints come together and at least have a central place to talk, if we can't have that, then what else? If we can't have a simple thing like that, how are you going to look at me and say this community isn't cooked? If we can't have a place, if we can't, come together, you can't look at me and say, oh, this community isn't cooked, It damn well is. And I feel like I may just be right. Because now with that server and, most people knowing about it, or at least, people that I know of know about it, and then people they know of that know about it, it really comes to show that, well, it is in fact getting worse. And I'm not really a older rail fan per se, like not older as an age, but how long I've actually, been a rail fan. I've only been a rail fan since like 2020. I know that's pretty late, but I've been in the community technically since like the early 2010s. So I know I've seen the change. Like, this isn't just me speculating or saying anything. I've seen it. These are things that I genuinely know of, and those videos that I made, aside from one which I was partially right, partially wrong, these are things that I've witnessed, I've, paid attention to, and when I made those videos, those were based off of what has been happening, and yeah, that's a lot of stuff. And since it's only like what, April or whatever, like mid-April, that's about 1 or 2 videos per month. So if I'm able to even talk about stuff like that for 4 months, it really comes to show that, well, dang, it is not getting better, and I don't think it's gonna get better because, well, what evidence do you have to show that this community is getting better? Now, that isn't to say that there isn't any good things about the community. There 100% is. It's just that there's a lot of bad things overweighing the good things, as in, well, overshadowing or shadowing over the good things. Dang. It's really, really, really sad to see this community suddenly just go off the deep end. And sure, you can make an argument that it's okay or whatever, but I strongly believe it is not. Anyways, that's my yap session. Whatever. Do you guys think this community is gonna survive or not? Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed.